Good morning. It's Dave Morrison here, coming to you from the Hobo Dojo with the sun just beginning to come up over there. You can see it in the window. It's still a little bit dark outside, so I got to get outside and get a couple tools in the truck in a few minutes here and head out to the job. I just wanted to weigh in on the synagogue shooting. I remember very well when, I believe it was in 2015, the Charleston shooting. That was the one where there's a primarily black church. And remember, Mr. Obama went down there and he sang Amazing Grace. And, he just, I'm so black. I'm here with your black, my black people and all this stuff. It was very much used as a tool for the left to say, look, see, here's the same people, guns, prejudice, violence, racism really is a big thing, and we really have these white nationalists going out there in the world. And there have always been a few white nationalists. At one time, the ACLU fought that the American Nazi Party would be able to march in the streets because they understood it's a small group of people. If we suppress them, we give them power, and what our Constitution says is everybody gets to be as loony as they want, and until they're breaking laws, we don't go after them. We watch after them. We watch and keep an eye on them. And we have now a sort of white nationalist movement led by Richard Spencer, who, if you've seen Dinesh D'Souza's recent movie, you know that he is an anti-Trumper. He is not a Trump fan. He's for socialized medicine. He is, by all intents and purposes, a socialist, a national socialist, just like the Nazis were. And ever since Trump got nominated, he's been called a Nazi. They started because he was nominated. They used it all through his run against Hillary, that he was some kind of Nazi. I had friends that are never Trumpers that are very conservative, even some influences in my life, that were saying, this guy does really show the signs of a nationalist leader. They were calling him a populist leader, which is a form of nationalism too. And he does show signs of being an authoritarian leader and stuff. And I haven't seen any sign of that in Trump at all. And I didn't see it then. And I said, I don't see that. He's not my guy. He wasn't at the time my guy. But I don't see that. I don't see that he's a Hitlerian figure at all. But they found, they would find somebody waving, and at some point their hand drops down, and it looks a little bit like a Nazi salute as they're returning it to their side. They would freeze frame that. Look, that looks like a Nazi salute. That was at a Trump rally. They've been trying to portray Trump as a Nazi. So that means if they can really portray Trump as a Nazi, they can then portray the whole basket of deplorables, roughly half of the country, as being supportive of a Nazi and therefore white nationalists themselves and therefore racists. So at the time of the Charleston shooting, they were trying to make believe that everything that we held to be flawed with Obama was just racism talking. The guy, otherwise, we should have seen him as a perfect person, even though he held political beliefs that were different than ours. We weren't allowed to just say, look, this guy, I don't agree with him. This guy's really, blowing it as president. We're not allowed to say that because you're saying a black person can't be president. Well, it empowers people when you think it empowers the few racists out there when you're telling them that they're not alone, that they're part of a really great movement, a great big movement that now has a president. So, if you want something to go away, you delegitimize it. You don't legitimize it. You don't tell everybody in the world how powerful this group of people is. And that's what the Democrats do with Nazis. Whoever talks about Nazis? Nobody was talking about Nazis before Obama came in. Nazis started getting a little popular again because racism was getting a little popular again, and now they make a big fuss over Nazis. So the thing is, I posted on Facebook the other day. I just said, how often can you scream Nazi without one finally showing up. And so I'm not blaming any Democrat or Barack Obama or anything for the shooting. I blame the guy who did the shooting. But I do blame just their general lack of understanding about human nature and the results of the way they talk to giving aid and comfort to the actual bad guys. If you call everybody a racist, like I never got called a racist until I started speaking out against Barack Obama. Suddenly I was a racist. Suddenly everything I said about politics that I didn't agree with was now racism. I got so used to being called a racist that I would joke about it, you know. And that, let's remember, that's the ultimate curse word in this country. That's the worst curse word ever. It aligns you with the worst things that the Democrats ever talk about, but also the worst things that the Republicans like me talk about. That's an awful thing to call a person, to call them a racist. And it's an awful, awful thing, as Jason just said in his last video, to call people a Nazi. There is no curse word that's worse than that. And so I've been called a Nazi now a lot of times. Well, I'm a level-headed guy. I'm not crazy. And so when people call me, I'm not going to get either really frustrated by that or say, hey, that sounds like a powerful identity. Let's look into it. So when a guy goes in there and shoots up a bunch of people in a way that he knows is going to be covered by the news, he knows it's going to be a cause celeb. I've always said, and I have a video called How to Stop the Shootings, where I make the case that the school shootings and mass shootings in general are an attempt for somebody to go out in a blaze of glory. They know something will be covered a lot. They will then be famous. There's nothing more important in the world these days than being famous. I mean, even most politicians, I think, are more interested in fame than they are in politics. So I just wanted to put that in there and say that it's common sense to me that if you continually draw attention to a small, not powerful group, what you do is you give them power. What you do is you attract wingnuts to them. People that find them on, some kind of dark web 4chan thing or whatever it is, and find out, oh, this is a thing, this is a way to just terrify people. This is a way to suddenly be big and powerful. And then you're going to find somebody who will actually take it to the next step and go and shoot people because they feel emasculated. They've never been able to accomplish anything, and suddenly they've aligned themselves with a group that they have been convinced by Democrats continually talking about them that is a very powerful group. They believe it to be powerful, and they believe they finally can have a chance to align with a great big powerful group. And not only that, they're going to somehow be their leader by acting upon this hatred that they just read about on the dark web and wherever these nasty websites hang out. Anyway, that's all I got to say. The sun is coming up in the window, and I'm not going to blather on and on. I just wanted to make that one point. All right, you all have a great day.